Hey everyone, I think it looks like, let me just double check the participants list. It looks like we definitely do have quorum. So we can get started momentarily. Just give me a moment to get my computer all up and running.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I'm going to call council to order on Wednesday, June 30th, 2021 at 4:32 p.m. And before we get started, I would just like to acknowledge that today I am calling in from the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, which includes the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Métis nations. I also want to recognize that these are the lands by which I am calling in from. This is colonially known as Burnaby Mountain, and this is the place where we would be doing our work in person if not for the pandemic. However, recognizing that this is the situation that we're in globally, it's really critical that each and every one of us is taking time to reflect on the lands that you are currently situated on yourself, whether that be within the Lower Mainland, the province, the country, or elsewhere within the world. We all are occupying stolen territories, and as such, we need to be standing in solidarity with the nations by whose lands we are currently occupying, and really understanding the power that we have in terms of standing in solidarity with these folks. And with that, I do just want to acknowledge that it is still pretty hot. It's not as bad as the last couple of days, but it is very hot. So this might make for a bit of an uncomfortable meeting for some of us. If that's the case, you are more than welcome to keep your camera off for today. I will not blame you if you would like to, I don't know, maybe you're sitting in your bedroom just casually sweating, but whatever's comfortable for you today. So we'll start with the roll call of attendance. And we'll start with our student union representatives. As usual, I'll just call on your position, and if you can please share your first and last name, your first and last name, your pronouns, and any access needs you might have. Additionally, if you are an alternate for a counselor today, please just indicate to me, and that would be greatly appreciated. So let's begin. Archaeology rep.
My name is Damon Trott. My accessibility needs are met. My pronouns are he and him, and I will be keeping my camera off as I am in my room sweating. Thank you.
Thanks, Damon. Bachelor of Environment. Bachelor of Environment. Behavioral Neuroscience.
Hi everyone, my name is Arthi Srinivasan, pronouns she, her, and hers, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Biology.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas Bonilla. My pronouns are he, him, his, and all my accessibility needs have been met.
BPK.
Hello everyone, my name is Kashish Mehta. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met, except I'll be keeping my camera off.
Chemistry. Chemistry. Cognitive science. Cognitive science. Communications.
Hello everyone, my name is Ashwin Barosha. My pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs are met.
Computing science.
Hello, my name is Ryan. My pronouns are he, him, his. All my needs are met.
Criminology.
Hi, Charlotte Taylor Bear, she, her, hers. In terms of access needs, my Zoom has been really glitchy today, so I logged in on my phone. Hopefully that'll like make it better. I don't know if it's a laptop issue, but I might be in and out. Sorry about that.
Worries. Data science? Data science? Economics?
Hi everyone, my name is Sandra, my pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met.
Education?
Hi everyone, my name is Jin Choi, my pronouns are she and her, and all my accessibility needs are met. Thank you.
English?
Hi, this is Emerald O'Donnell. I am an alternate today. I use she, her pronouns, and my access needs are met.
Perfect. Environmental science?
Hi, my name is Chloe. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Film?
Hi everyone, my name is Amelia. My pronouns are she, they. As for access needs, my internet is unstable today, so I will be keeping my camera off so I can stay in the meeting as long as possible.
Thank you. French?
Hi everyone, I'm Kylie Pockernich. I use she, her pronouns, and as for accessibility needs, I will be keeping my camera off as it is far too hot here. Thank you.
No worries. Council Vice Chair and GSWS representative.
Hey everyone, my name is Devin Butterworth, she, her, hers pronouns, and all of my access needs are met.
Thank you. Geography? Geography? Global Asia Studies?
Hi, my name is Eunice Kwok, and my pronoun is she, her, her, and all the accessibility needs are met.
Thank you. Health Sciences?
Hi, my name is Giselle. I use she, her pronouns, and all my accessibility needs are met. I'll just be keeping my camera off for the majority of the meeting.
No worries. History?
Hello, my name is Alan Saunderson. He, him, his pronouns, and my accessibility needs are met.
Indigenous Studies?
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Henriquez, pronouns she, her, and all my accessibility needs are met. Thanks.
Thank you. Interactive Arts and Technology?
Hello, my name is Jeremy Felix. I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. And I'll probably end up turning my camera off at some point because it's really hot.
No worries. International Studies?
Hi everyone, I'm here today as the alternate for Deanna. My name is Aaliyah, my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am one of the co-presidents of the ISSA, so I'm also one of the execs, and all my access needs are currently met.
Thank you so much. Labor Studies? Ooh, Justin, we can not hear you very well. Okay, cool. Justin, we'll type it out. I'll circle back to you and read it out loud once you typed it out. Mathematics? Math? Mechatronics? Oh, Mechatronics has submitted their regrets. MBB?
Hi, I'm Apeek Kaur. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met today.
Thanks, Avneet. Operations Research?
Hi, my name is Ash. Pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs have been met. Thank you.
Thank you. Philosophy?
Hi, my name is Tony Yu. He, him, his pronouns, and all my access needs are met.
Physics?
Hi, my name is Graham Rich, pronouns he, him, his, and access needs, it's still very hot here. I'm going to grab a fan in a second, but I may also need to turn my camera off later, so.
Political science? Okay. Political science, are you here? Ooh. Helen, we heard you for like a
And as
split
for my
second.
access needs, I'm having some spotty internet. Hello?
Hi, we heard you for a split second.
Okay, if you can't hear me, then I'll just type my thing later on in the chat, but my phone is hers, and I have some spotty internet today. So as for my access needs, I just have really bad internet.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Helen. And I'm also seeing some in the chat, so I'm just going to read that out now. Justin, Labor Studies, has said, my name is Justin, my pronouns are he, him, his. My mic is not working that good today, but otherwise my access needs are met. And Gwen, Chemistry, has said, hi everyone, I'm the chemistry rep. My pronouns are she, her, hers. All my access needs are met. Sorry for being late. No worries. Where was I? Psychology.
Hi everyone, I'm Elisa Victorino. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an alternative for Tiffany, and I'll be keeping my camera off today.
All right, thank you. Next is Science Undergrad Society.
Hello everyone, my name is Zaid Laurie. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my accessibility needs are currently met.
Thank you, Zaid. Society of Arts and Social Sciences.
Hi everyone, my name is Akam. My pronouns are she, her, hers. As for access needs, I actually just got back from my road test, so I'm joined in from my phone right now, but I'll be joining in really shortly from my laptop. But other than that, I'm doing okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Akam. I hope you did well on your road test. I won't ask you what the result was in a public meeting, but I hope it went well. Sociology and Anthropology.
Hi, I am Kayla, she, her pronouns, and all my access need is met.
Thank you. Statistics. Statistics, are you there? Okay. Student Athlete Advisory Committee.
Hi everyone, my name is Muller Sue. I go by pronouns he, him, and most of my accessibility needs are met. However, I did get spinal surgery on Monday, so I will be in and out as I feel well or not. Thank you.
No worries, Paul. Thank you. Sustainable Energy Engineering Student Society. All right, in the chat, hey guys, my name is Mohammed. I'm the Sustainable Energy Engineering representative. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm currently on the bus with really bad headphones that can turn off any call whenever it feels like it, so I may disconnect suddenly or come back for the next hour or so. No worries. Theater.
Hi, my name is Samantha. I use she and they pronouns, and my computer, much like me, is still recovering from the heat, so there may be some interruptions.
No worries. World literature.
Hi, my name is Sara Aristides, pronouns she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Great. Any student union representatives that I missed or that trickled in late?
Hi, can I do the
Sure.
I'm the counselor for Statistics and Actuarial Science. The previous meeting that I had ran longer than expected. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met, but I do have to leave at around 7:15 today because I have another meeting coming up. But yeah, other than that, all my accessibility needs are met.
Perfect.
Thank you.
No worries, thank you. Any other student union representatives that I missed?
Yeah, hi, I'm Software Systems. My name is Shashank Tandalapati, pronouns are he, him, his. My accessibility needs, if I suddenly mute while talking, it's my niece crying in the background, so I apologize in advance. Apart from that, we're good. Thank you.
No worries. Any other student union reps?
Hi,
I'm the rep for engineering science. I'm Sarah Racity. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs are being met. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else? Okay, perfect. Now we'll move into constituency group representatives and start with Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance. So a rep from DNA here tonight. Okay, FNSA, First Nation Student Association. Is there a rep from FNSA here tonight? International Student Advocates.
Hello everyone, my name is Fiza Parsian. Pronouns are she, her, hers. My access needs are met, but I will be keeping my camera off because I have a terrible headache. And my alternate is here, Kirtana Menon.
Perfect. Kirtana, would you like to do name, pronouns, access needs as well?
Yeah, thanks Gabe. Hi everyone, my name is Kirtana. My pronouns are she, her, hers. All of my access needs have been met. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Perfect. Soka? Is there a rep from Soka here tonight? Okay, Women's Center.
Hi, my name is Nisha. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And as for access needs, my computer is also recovering from the heat wave, so I maybe leave the meeting and then have to rejoin.
No worries. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We need to do the executive committee now. We'll start with myself, the president. Hi, everyone. My name is Gabe Leosis. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm the chair of council. And for access needs, I think the only thing I would like to mention is that the sun is setting right in front of my window, and you can it's like it hasn't quite gone behind the banner I put in front of my window to block the sun, so I may be temporarily blinded for like 30 minutes, but it should be fine soon enough. Additionally, I may have to step away just for like a bio break, but in that instance, I'll just pass off the chair to Devin, and of course, Devin, I'll let you know if I need that. Where are we now? VP Internal and Organizational Development.
Hi everyone, my name is Corbett. Pronouns are he, him, his, and access needs are met. Also I am live streaming from my laptop here, so I'm mostly working on my phone, which is a lot smaller, so if I'm a little bit scattered, it's because I'm trying to bring things up on my older phone. Thanks.
Thanks, Corbett. VP Finance and Services.
Hi everyone, my name is Almas Fangura. All my access needs are met. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Almas. VP University and Academic Affairs.
Hey everyone, my name is Serena. My pronouns are she, they. For access needs, sometimes my internet is unstable, but other than that, my access needs are met.
Thanks, Serena. VP External and Community Affairs.
It's Matt. My pronouns are he, him, his. My accessibility needs. It's pretty hot in here, so I'm gonna keep my camera off for a bit because my computer is overheating, and then when it's okay, I'll turn it back on.
Thanks, Matt. VP Equity and Sustainability has sent in her regrets for today's meeting.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Sorry about that. VP Events and Student Affairs.
Sorry, that was me. I pressed it by accident. My name is Jess. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met, except my laptop is also burning, so I might have to like do something later.
No worries, Jess. Thank you. And we'll move on to society staff. Operations organizer.
Hi everyone, my name is Aisha. My pronouns are she, her, hers. My access needs are met.
Thanks, Aisha. Board organizer.
Hi everyone, my name is Ella. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and all of my access needs are met.
Thank you, Ella. administrative assistant.
Hi, my name's Christina. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Christina. Do we have any other society staff with us on the call tonight? Okay. So with that, I'm just going to do one last check-in. Have I missed anyone? Any members of council?
You missed me. Hi, I'm Ben. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm acting as the alternate for Matt for today.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Just write that down. Anyone else? Wonderful. Okay, so we'll move into item number 4, section number 4 on the agenda, which is consent agenda. And I'll read 4.1. The motion reads, be it resolved to adopt the consent agenda by unanimous consent. We have 4 motions under the consent agenda today. Matters arising from the minutes for both council and a number of committees, ratification of regrets, and a motion to receive and file a letter of agreement for Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance and the SFSS. Are there any objections to any of the motions under the consent agenda? And just as I guess to mention, I made a slight tweak when making the agenda. Usually the adoption of the agenda is one of the motions under the consent agenda. However, I realize that we almost always object to it because we need to add things to the agenda. So I've actually just taken that out of the consent agenda from now on. It is now a regular standing item on the agenda. So we'll move into doing that afterwards. But I hope that actually saves us time in the long run. Anyway, I'm seeing no objections to anything under the consent agenda, so we'll consider it the consent agenda carried by unanimous consent. And we'll move into item number 5, section number 5, starting with 5.1. And I'll read the question now. Be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Do I have a mover for this motion?
Matt.
Matt moves the motion. Is there a seconder?
Jeremy moves seconds.
Jeremy seconds. Thank you. At this time, I'll open the floor for any amendments or questions about the agenda. Matt, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like to amend the agenda to move item 8.3 under new business titled Indian Residential School Survivors and Commitment to Reconciliation to item 8.1. So just it's like the last motion, just moving it to be the first motion.
Sounds good. So I have too many pieces of paper. There we go. So essentially you just want it to be first under new business, that's correct?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll make that change, moving item 8.1 and essentially making it 8.3 and essentially making it 8.1. Serena?
I wanted to amend the agenda to include a presentation from SFU 350 titled Climate Emergency Declaration, and also a discussion item titled, I have to find it, sorry. Titled Advocating for Accessible Course Practices.
Okay, perfect. So we'll add the SFU 350 Climate Emergency Declaration presentation right after the presentation from Student Care. Serena, it looks like your discussion item is already on the agenda. The one about accessible course practices?
Okay, my bad.
No worries. I think you probably missed the deadline, but I probably added it anyway. Cool. Jess.
I would like to add a discussion item called Cancel Canada Day campaign. And I also want to add a motion titled Simon Fraser Student Society (SFSS) supports #Cancel Canada Day. I will put the motion in the chat
Thank you, Jess. Jess, I have a question. Is there a particular reason for adding a motion and discussion item?
Yes, for the discussion item, I just want to inform everyone of the email I sent last night about the needs and expectations of how to follow through with this campaign to be posted on social media within the next few.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Jess. So we'll add that motion under new business. We'll add it. We'll just tack it on to the end of all the motions under new business, and then add a discussion item. Add your discussion item at the end of discussion items. Corbett.
Hi, I'd like to add a motion, basically bringing the notice of motion, the motion from last meeting where we did notice of motion for called council work report frequency.
Okay.
And I'll eventually put it into chat. I just have to, it'll take me a little bit.
No worries. Seeing as this was a notice of motion and it was brought to a previous meeting, we'll actually create a section titled Old Business. So that will come before the section titled New Business, and we'll put that motion under that section.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else tonight? Okay, so we have a number of amendments being put forward by a number of councillors. We have a batch of amendments to be considered. Would anyone like to move that batch of amendments to the agenda?
Economics.
I think I heard economics. Was I right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So Sandra moves. Is there a seconder?
Jess.
Jess seconds. Thank you. Any discussion? Any discussion on the amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll put the amendment to the main motion to a vote. All those in favor seeking unanimous consent on the motion. If you would like to vote against or abstain, please use the Zoom raise hand feature to do so. I'm seeing no objections, so the amendment to the main motion is carried unanimously. And we'll move back to the main motion, which at this time now reads, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. Any last considerations to be made as it pertains to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll put the main motion to a vote now. All those in favor seeking unanimous consent. This is carried unanimously, seeing no objections. And we have one last motion before our presentation. Sorry, Bahara. We have regrets, and we have 2 regrets to consider. So be it resolved to ratify regrets for Marie Haddad and Deanna Short. Is there a mover for this motion? Matt, did you move that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I barely heard you. Matt moves. Is there a seconder?
Almas.
Almas seconds. Any discussion on the regrets? Okay. We'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favor seeking unanimous consent. This motion is carried unanimously. Okay, that's it for housekeeping. We'll move into presentations. We're at 6.1. SFSS's Health and Dental Plan Orientation Student Care. And this was submitted by our VP Internal and Organizational Development, Corbett Gildersleeve. However, we do have Bahar here, who I believe will be doing the presentation for us tonight. So Bahar, you have the floor whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much, Gabe. Would you mind? Oh, and I have presenting abilities. That is amazing. Thank you. I love it when I don't have to ask. That's fantastic. My name is Bahar Joker. I'm a program manager with Student Care, and I am joined today by my colleague Sophia Hack, Director of Partnerships and Development, who will be joining me in giving this presentation. I do apologize, folks. I regrettably need to step out at what will be 5:30. But I think our presentation will definitely be wrapped up at that point. We'll be trickling into Q&A, which Sophia will be taking over for me. So without further ado, we're just going to dive right in. The goal of our presentation today is just to give you a high-level overview of who is Student Care and some of the projects that we'll be working on together over the next 12 months, if you will. Some of you may have actually heard a very similar iteration of this presentation back in November if you were also on the board. So I do apologize. Some stuff might be a little repetitive, but it's always helpful to know these the fun facts about the Extended Health and Dental Plan. So really quickly, who is Student Care? We have the privilege of serving over 1 million students across Canada after we essentially launched as a student startup back in 1996. We are now Canada's largest provider of extended health and dental plan services for student associations. Really we are strictly focused on the student experience. This is like the entirety of our universe. We were founded from the student movement and have now continued that work 26 odd years later. Our true DNA really stems from student leadership. So our founder and CEO was a former student executive at McGill Student Association. Myself and Sophia have both served as executives respectively at our former alma mater, the UBC Alma Mater Society. And as you can see, a number of our colleagues across the country also have deep-rooted experiences in student governance. One of the founding principles of our company is that you can absolutely teach somebody insurance, but it's really, really difficult to explain what is a student association. I bet a lot of your friends and family don't fully understand the work it is that you do and all the hard, long, laborious hours that you spend committed to this organization. But it goes without saying that it definitely serves a lot of students, and there's a lot of important services that you folks manage, including the Extended Health and Dental Plan. So our roles and responsibilities are very much twofold. I like to compare it to an iceberg. So kind of the tip of the iceberg, the work that we present to board and the work that we do very closely with the executive is very much our consulting work and our brokerage work. So that is essentially managing the high level strategy around the Extended Health and Dental Plan. So that's everything from benefit decisions, policy setting, fee setting, premium negotiations and revisions of serving, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then below the iceberg, below the tip, is everything else. And that's the third-party administration of the services that we provide for you folks, which includes everything from data management, member service management, which is our in-house call center, which is actually distinguished and different from the insurance company. We are not the insurance company, as well as all of the other kind of supports that go into managing a service that serves over 20,000 students on your campus. So the key takeaway being that at its core, the work that we do for you is managing the student health and dental plan experience. A quick note on reporting and surveys. So this is actually something that we present regularly to the executive, and a lot of the data that we present also comes back to the board for decision-making purposes. But one thing that I'll note is that we actually conducted a survey of your membership back in late spring. And really this is a routine kind of service that we provide all of our members that usually takes place every 2 years. And just getting a touch point and a temperature check on how your members are engaging with their plan, their cost sensitivities, their priorities, and that's just really data that we use to make informed decisions when it comes to your extended health and dental plan. So jumping really quickly into plan fundamentals. So right off the bat, and I know this might be a little bit repetitive for you folks, and really in a lot of instances, nobody's like, oh, why do we have an extended health and dental plan? But sometimes that question comes up, and sometimes you have students who will ask you, like, why do I have to pay for this? Why is this automatically billed on my extended health and dental plan? And why did we have a referendum in the first place? And the reason and the rationale for having a group policy instead of putting people out to go and purchase a private insurance plan for themselves as an individual is that a group policy saves individuals an exponential amount of money. We're really using the economies of scale and really using your pool as a whole to get a significantly reduced cost for these host of benefits that you have available to you. In addition to that, when individuals go out to market to buy a personal plan, a lot of the times it's really unfortunate, but it's just one of the mechanisms of underwriting, is that insurers will discriminate kind of based on age, biological sex, and pre-existing conditions. So depending on how old you are and if you have any pre-existing conditions and if you identify as female, you will likely be paying more for your benefits than not. And or your pre-existing conditions might not be covered. So really this is for the benefit of the collective, and it serves your members pretty exorbitantly in terms of how much they get from the plan. So a couple quick facts. The plan has been administered by Student Care since 2008. We were actually around when the original referendum was posed. Fun fact, I actually learned this from Sophia today. This was one of the first projects that she was she was hired, and this was the first thing that she kind of got pushed into when she started with the company. And maybe on another day, maybe on campus, if we're meeting over some coffee or something, you can ask her about like why there was a Segway involved. Apparently Segways were a thing back then. Beyond that, we know that the service is one of the largest services that the SFSS provides its membership. So we had just over 20,000 students enrolled on the extended health and dental plan, and that's not including obviously the students who would have opted out of the extended health and dental plan and or enrolled dependents onto the extended health and dental plan, which is a benefit that's available to them as well. Beyond that, we have about $4 million in claims paid out to SFU students each year. This is SFSS members, I should say specifically. And so that's $4 million that would not have been paid back to the community if the plan didn't exist. So those are benefits and services that students either wouldn't have accessed, or if they were accessing it, they were paying for it out of pocket. And then lastly, the plan is overseen in its entirety by the SFSS. Again, we report to the SFSS. This is a service that is managed in its entirety by the SFSS. It's not a service that's provided by the university. It is something that you folks really take full ownership of. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Sophia to walk us through plan design.
Thank you so much, Bahar. So when we talk about the health and dental plan, there's a couple of terms that are thrown around. The first is the plan fee. This is the number and the amount that you will see on your tuition statements when you go look at the health and dental plan fees as they are assessed. And the second one is plan cost, or the plan premiums. This is the amount that's remitted to the insurance company for the package of benefits that you have for a health and dental plan. For a health and dental plan, in a typical employee-employer world, the plan fee and the plan premium, those would be one and the same amount, and you wouldn't have to have one exceeding the other. But in our student world, there are fees that need to be submitted to the Board of Governors well in advance before we have a lot of data on what the plan claims experience has been. And so there is a discrepancy between those two. And when you look at this little circle, it'll show you what makes up your plan cost. And the big blue circle portion of that circle is claims experience. In other words, student utilization, which drives up to 90% of the plan cost is comprised of student utilization. The remaining 10% consists of plan administration services, which includes things like travel coverage, which is a separately priced out benefit so that those claims do not impact your global cost of your plan, as well as taxes, and that equals about 10% of the plan cost. On the next slide, you'll see that there are a number of different ways for us to see that breakdown. Bahar, I can get you to just click over to the next slide. And this will show you there are a number of different models that exist in the world of health insurance on how to manage the plan. This is a lot of additional detail, but relevant for this group, given the kind of decision that you'll be needing to make in the coming year. When the plan was first set up back in 2008, the plan was set up to be a fully insured plan model, and you can see up top that was the lowest risk model that you can take for a health and dental plan. In 2018, which is the most recent RFQ that we had done for your health and dental plan, the SFSS moved to a refund accounting plan model, which is on the medium risk level, but at the time made a lot of sense for the SFSS because it had been experiencing several years of plan claim stability. And when your plan claims are stable, that's a good time to be looking at a refund accounting plan model. On the next slide, we'll get to dive into what does a refund accounting plan model look like. First, rewind. In a fully insured plan, these first two things, the green box and the orange box, those are really the only two numbers that you need to worry about. You set your plan fee. Often this is set and determined by referendum, and you have not a lot of ability to change that without going to referendum. So this usually stays fairly consistent year over year. And then you have your plan premiums, which is your plan cost, which we saw on the previous slide, is dictated, and the cost and increases or decreases are driven by student utilization. When student utilization is high, it causes the plan cost to increase for the next following year. When they are low, there's a bit of a deflationary impact on the cost of your plan, and that will be lower, which may give you an opportunity to be collecting a little bit of an internal reserve. So in any year where your plan fee is higher than your plan premium, you will be collecting that difference, stays with the SFSS, and you keep that in your internal reserves. And in a fully insured plan model, that's all you need to worry about. In a refund accounting plan model, which is what your SFSS plan currently is, there's a few more steps to kind of complete the financial accounting process and check dot all the I's and cross all the T's for your health and dental plan numbers. At the end of the policy year, which for you runs from September 1st until August 31st, we sit down probably in late fall, early winter, and do a little bit of an accounting exercise where we look back and see, of all the premiums that were paid in, let's compare them to the claims that were made onto the student plan. If the claims that were made on the plan exceeded the premiums that were paid, that is a year and a time where there will be a shortfall on your plan. Whereas in a fully insured plan model, it wouldn't matter because you are only liable to pay for the plan premiums. If there is any losses, that's on the insurer. In a refund accounting plan model, the SFSS would then be liable to cover that difference using the reserves. The reserve funds are the gray box that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. And those include both the internal health and dental plan reserves held by the SFSS, as well as the CFR, which is held by the insurer. So that's what happens when there's a shortfall. However, the SFSS also gets to benefit from any of the surplus or the gains. So in a year where you had X dollar of premiums paid, but the claims were not quite up to par that particular year, and they were a little bit lower, that's a year when there is a surplus. In a fully insured plan model, the insurer would get to keep that surplus. However, in a refund accounting plan model, the surplus comes back to the SFSS and into either the CFR or the SFSS reserves. And so why are we having such an in-depth conversation about the plan model at this meeting today? If you go to the next couple of slides there, Bahar, this will show you the per capita health claims that were made on your plan over the past 5 years. You'll notice that from 2015 to 2018, those first 3 bars, there was a period of relative stability on your health and dental plan, which is why it made a lot of sense when in 2018, 2019, the plan was taken to tender and we made the shift to Pacific Blue Cross as the plan insurer, that the plan moved to a refund accounting plan model. There was an additional benefit there. PBC does not need to pay premium tax because of its position in the insurance industry in British Columbia, so you saved about 2% there. And so that kind of aided in the decision to move to a refund accounting plan model. But you'll notice that if you recall the kind of theme of what we were talking about, 2018, 2019 is probably one of the worst years to be moving to a refund accounting plan model. This huge spike in claims was obviously not a result of the transition to a refund accounting plan model or a result of the transition to PBC, but it was a result of a vision practitioner on your campus that kind of really worked and had aggressive campaign, and the big spike in vision claims on your plan actually resulted in this huge spike in health claims. 2019-20, the last bar that you see on the graph there, represents this past year, which we call the pandemic year or the COVID year, which had a bit of a deflationary impact on the cost of, or on the claims made on your health and dental plans, primarily because many services were not as accessible to students during the pandemic as they would have been beforehand. You'll notice, though, that the numbers in that column are still a little bit higher than they were in 2017, 2018, even with all of the closures. And that's because psychology benefits or psychology counseling benefits have seen a huge spike in the past year. And it's a sign that to us shows that's one of the services that students were able to access during a pandemic year, and they took advantage of it. And so it's helpful and great to know that students were able to access plan benefits even during a time when many services were shut down for a portion. But that type of claiming pattern, so on psychology claims, it's not something that we anticipate tapering down when schools reopen for in-person sessions in the fall. We anticipate that will kind of continue and keep paces to where it was, but you will see the return of the spike in vision claims with the return to campus in the fall. On the next slide, you get to take a look at the dental claims. This has remained relatively stable, and you'll notice that it in fact had a huge drop this past year. Dental had the largest impact in pandemic year because you may recall last March to well into the spring, dental clinics were completely shut except for emergency access to care, and that's why you see that artificial lowering of claims for the pandemic year. We look at this all, we take this all in with a grain of salt, and we know and expect these numbers to bounce back up to their traditional levels, possibly even a higher bounce back, as people may have some leftover work that did not get completed during the pandemic year that they now need to get to. So you can see how the plan claims or utilization has such a big impact on the cost of your plan year over year. And I'm going to pass it back to Bahar now, where she'll talk about the student care networks, which is a way for students to save additional money at the point of service. And it helps to kind of have that deflationary impact for your plans.
Thanks so much, Soph. So yeah, we really like to do a refresher on the networks every year. This has proven to be a really wonderful resource, particularly for your campus. And as Sophia mentioned, the extended health and dental plan, right? Like the mechanics of how the plan is underwritten and how the cost of the plan is determined is fairly straightforward. There's very little room to really adjust it beyond the claims experience, right? The claims experience is what drives the plan. So how best did we determine to support students when it comes to saving a little bit of money when it comes to the extended health and dental plan? Well, way back when Student Care was originally founded, we thought it was very cheeky to go ahead and actually call ourselves studentcare.net/works, because networks was a really fundamental principle in our service delivery. And what the networks are essentially is that we have developed a network of practitioners across the country that provide our members with savings on the services that they're receiving. So this is just kind of an overarching list of practitioners that provide our members with discounts, and each practitioner kind of, the list of practitioners provide varying discounts depending on your region and your locale, and each city kind of has a different list. Being in Metro Vancouver, we really get to benefit from the fact that we're in a larger city. There's a lot more competition, and we started building the networks, 20 odd years ago in Vancouver. So it's a very healthy, robust list of practitioners. Case in point, the dental practitioner on campus is actually on the networks as well, which is a really key saving feature. Dental is actually a really clean way to demonstrate how the networks work. So on the SFSS extended health and dental plan, on the enhanced portion of the plan, students have access to 80% coverage. They can use that coverage anywhere where there is a licensed practitioner who can provide dental services to them for their preventative care. So that's, a checkup, cleaning, scaling, etc. If they go to one of our dental practitioners, i.e. the clinic that's on campus, they can save 20% in the province of British Columbia. And Calgary, for example, it's a little bit higher just because their costs of dental services are exorbitantly high. So at 20%, that brings your coverage levels to 100%. These are not artificial savings, so it's not like the practitioners are bumping up their prices and then just lowering it by 20%. The practitioners are being held to a fee standard and a fee guide. So not only do the students save that a little bit of extra money, but the plan also results in steady and kind of clean claims experience because of more predictable practitioner costs, which is kind of like a win-win on both ends. That being said, we always encourage students to learn about the networks. It's entirely up to them. So no student is ever forced to use a network practitioner, but if they choose to, obviously there's a little bit of money to be saved. And with that, we're going to hop over to kind of board engagement and some of the things that we'll be discussing kind of over the next little bit, particularly in 2021-2022 academic year. So right off the bat, the board is kind of the major final decider and the checks and balance on the extended health and dental plan, and really helps coordinate the big picture ticket items. So you folks don't really, participate in the day-to-day kind of management of like claims and stuff like that. It's really like high-level policy stuff. And with that, we wanted to take a couple minutes to touch on some of the key projects that were completed in the previous year. I think we were able to do some really wonderful work together, just considering how difficult of a year it really was for your members. So we were able to introduce a new travel service that actually provides coverage to students despite the pandemic, which is kind of awesome. In addition to that, we were able to introduce an international student opt-out process. So for international students who were not able to return to Canada, they were able to opt out during the regular change of coverage period, providing proof that they're an international student. And then we also have an exceptional opt-out period for students who weren't able to make, wanted to defer the decision, because if you opt out, you're not able to re-enroll onto the extended health and dental plan. So we have a deferred opt-out period that's taking place in July, starting July 5th to July 19th. And this is just, one of the ways that we were able to kind of give back to the community. And then lastly, this was a really long-standing project that the SFSS has been working on. So you folks finally introduced the psychoeducational assessments. We look forward to kind of monitoring the service and helping you folks promote the program. But essentially, it's allowing folks to be able to submit claims for psychoeducational assessments, which they were not previously able to do. And we're working with reserve funds that are available to kind of subsidize it on a case-by-case situation. So some of the key projects that we need to work on together for the coming year. In July, kind of leading into August, we'll be reviewing the plan model. So as Sophia mentioned, we have different models and plan design. I think one of the conversations that we need to have based on your claims experience and kind of where the plan is tapering is what is the most kind of appropriate way forward for the SFSS. And this also works in conjunction with the fact that depending on kind of what plan model you use, there is the potential to conduct an RFQ. An RFQ is the request for proposal, like we mentioned. So this is the process by which Student Care takes your plan to tender and solicits quotes from a number of insurance companies. Provided that you folks need to go to referendum, as is noted here for spring 2022, to peg the plan to some sort of inflationary index, because right now it's not. We could potentially leverage the RFQ to buy you some time to be able to conduct that referendum and to be able to manage your plan fee setting kind of based on where we see appetite for students in terms of being able to pass a referendum. So all that being said, there's kind of 3 key ticket items that we see playing out over the next couple of months, and we'll be quite busy working with the executive, and hopefully we'll be reporting back to you folks kind of in late fall, early winter. And then a couple of additional things that we wanted to bring to your attention. So over the last little bit, Student Care has been working on some special projects. We had the pleasure of presenting these to the executives and council members who were able to join us at our stakeholder conference that took place about a month ago. But really, we have been working on some special projects around legal services for students, as well as further supports around mental health. And we are also exploring telehealth kind of in the midst of COVID and coming out of COVID. So with that being said, we'll be presenting these ideas to the executive, and naturally, if there was ever appetite, we'd be happy to present to council as well. With that, I'm going to open it up to questions and discussion if there are any thoughts from folks.
Jess, go ahead.
Hello. Do you have an app or something virtual that students can look through? So for example, if they're picking up medication at a pharmacy and they need to pull that physical card, I know that we can't access those physical cards anymore because the offices are closed. So what can students do about it?
That's a great question, Jess. So we actually have a mobile application, the Student Care mobile app, and students can download it. It is an application for submitting your claim. So if you have a paper claim from a practitioner that doesn't do direct billing, in addition to that, the mobile app actually has the Pay Direct card built into it. So the digital number that you need to provide your pharmacist or your dentist, along with the space where it says you have to give them your student number, that number you can just kind of tell them verbally. And so all that's kind of built into the Student Care mobile app. Additionally, you are able to download, for folks who don't have a mobile app or whatever whatever the case may be, you can actually download a digital copy of the Pay Direct card from our website as well. So it's just really easily, like once you go into the SFSS webpage, or microsite, I should say, on the right-hand side in the blue column in the download center, it says Pay Direct card, and there's also a plan brochure as well. So both of those are really helpful resources for students to be able to learn about plan coverage and also just to have a quick access to the Pay Direct card. That's how I access it personally. It's a really easy way to grab the card when you need it. Thank you. So, and Soph has plugged it into the chat as well.
Awesome. Are there any other questions for members of council? Sarah?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could give us contact information, just in case someone has any questions. Where would they go and ask those questions?
Absolutely. I'm happy to plug my questions into, I'll put my contact information in the chat here. Additionally, you're always welcome to direct your questions to Gabe, to Almas, to Corbett. We work very closely together, or any members of the executive. We meet with the executive fairly regularly, and they can bring forward your questions when we connect. But you're always welcome to email us directly as well.
Thank you so much. Warren, you have a question?
Hello, everyone. My question was, do we have workshops or kind of resources that are directly fed to students to know more about the resources and entrance opportunity kind of that students have? Because I feel like it's something not everyone, I guess, want to learn about or even are aware of. And how can we make sure that students know that they have all these like health insurance coverage?
Sure, that's a really awesome question. So under normal circumstances, prior to COVID, we have our on-campus office, which we're really excited to be in the new sub building, and we really hope to occupy that space and be with you folks in person really shortly. So we find that the on-campus office actually serves as a really wonderful kind of marketing tool as well, because students do actively visit that office and they see it and it's very visible. Beyond that, we're very active on campus and participating in clubs days and really joining you folks where appropriate to come and be physically present at your mental health events, at your wellness events, and to be there kind of at these key spaces when you're kind of, having these conversations around health and wellness. During the COVID year, we were really actively involved, particularly with international student services and like new student orientation. So we did a lot of Zoom engagement. We were involved with clubs days virtually. So we'll continue to do that obviously in September, and we'll adapt and really kind of connect with you folks as we kind of see the plans play out over the summer months. But one thing that I always love to pose to council is to say that if you folks ever have any events that you think would be appropriate for us to participate, please let us know. I mean, we can absolutely try our best to connect where we see fit, but you folks are on the ground, you know what your members and delegations need. And so we're always happy to come on and have these conversations with your members, even if it's just like a tabling event for an afternoon, whatever the case may be. It's not particularly difficult for us to dedicate the resources to that. So I pose that to you folks to always let us know if there's a time and a place that you think could benefit from our presence.
Thank you very much. Okay, I know you have to leave at 5:30, Bahara, so if there's like one or two more questions.
No worries, we're good. We definitely have like five or 10 more minutes if need be, so we're good.
Okay, cool.
If there are no other questions, and I'll definitely leave room for more, again, you folks have my contact information. You can always direct your questions to the executive if something kind of comes to mind after the fact as well.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Bahara and Sophia for coming in. No matter how many times I hear this presentation, I always find that I'm learning new information. It's just good to hear it over and over again. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You're very kind. Thank you so much, everyone.
Seeing you folks shortly. We hope you have a great rest of your meeting, and thank you so much for allotting the time for us to be here. I know it's going to be a long meeting for you folks, so we won't take up any more of your time, but again, we look forward to connecting with you over the coming year. So
thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we have another presentation, and it is from SFU 350 titled Climate Emergency Declaration. And so I'll pass it off to SFU 350 folks to go ahead with the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Gabe. Hey, everyone. My name is Wei Chen. My pronouns are he and his. And yeah, I'm currently today presenting as SFU 350 member as well together with Sarah here. Does Sarah want to introduce herself?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, my name is Sarah. I use she, her, hers pronouns. All my access needs are met today. Excited to give this presentation.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a lot of familiar faces. But yeah, good to be back. Yeah, I'll just share a screen here and Sarah will start off the presentation.
Awesome. Okay, so first off, thank you for your time and attention this very warm evening. I am Sarah. This is going to be a short presentation on SFU 350 as well as our Climate Emergency Declaration campaign. And first and foremost, we want to start off by acknowledging and reiterating what Gabe put well at the beginning of this session, that some of us, and myself personally, are gathered today on the unceded territory of the Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, Squamish, and the Musqueam nations. And that unceded means that this land was never surrendered, it was never relinquished, it was never handed over in any way, it was stolen. And we continue to be on occupied lands, and therefore we acknowledge that we, as people living and working on these lands, must always center our movement and our climate work on Indigenous rights and sovereignty. And so SFU 350 is a club on campus dedicated to engaging the SFU community to tackle climate change on and off campus. Overall, SFU 350 aims to provide answers to the question of how can a university and its students enact meaningful change and just change to fight global warming. And at SFU 350, we do this through student-led campaigns, most of which are listed here on the slide. First of all, we're engaging the SFU community on Indigenous sovereignty, safety, and the environmental issues posed by Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion, or known as TMX. We also lead the fossil fuel divestment campaign at SFU to help SFU invest its money in a more climate-friendly manner. And our most recent campaign is to pressure SFU to declare a climate emergency. And in a couple slides, we'll talk a bit more about what a climate emergency declaration is and what it entails. We just want to start by talking a bit more about our other campaigns, because their work is included in the demands of the climate emergency. And so divestment and reinvestment. SFU 350 is pressuring SFU to reinvest 5% of its endowment to community reinvestment, such as community bonds and community loans, which can support cooperatives, land trusts, and local businesses on campus. Super, super exciting. And we want to pressure SFU to divest the endowment of companies that extract, process, and transport fossil fuels by 2025. And so the other campaign is Justice No Pipeline. In the past, we've organized rallies and walkouts, solidarity rallies, solidarity walkouts. We've hosted talks with individuals who have strengthened dialogue on campus. And currently, we're asking about how do we go about educating, engaging, and taking actions on SFU while respecting and working with and alongside Indigenous rights and sovereignty. We're also currently working with Dogwood SFU and the Simon Fraser Student Society for Students Against TMX. You can do the next slide.
Yeah, so while it's a climate emergency declaration, it is both a public acknowledgement of the climate emergency situation that we are in, and as well as a commitment to set specific actions with measurable timelines in order to avoid said emergency. For universities, a climate emergency declaration does not have a legal basis, as it might when other governments declare a state of emergency, but rather the overarching purpose of a declaration is to signal that the university has committed to accelerate sustained, and meaningful action to avoid catastrophic climate change and restore a safe climate while protecting its community from climate impacts, especially the most vulnerable. A declaration goes beyond simply acknowledging that we are facing a climate emergency. Instead, it is meant to signify the initiation of emergency mode, which means a shift away from business as usual to empower itself to make more executive actions to mitigate and adapt to the climate emergency. So why are we in a climate emergency? A lot of people recognize that climate change will have drastic impacts on the environment and society.
Sorry, Wei, I think the slides haven't changed.
Oh, is it working now?
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people recognize that climate change will have drastic impacts on the environment and society, but people need to be aware of just how much of a threat it is and how short of a time frame we have for action. As you can see over the weekend, the heat wave with record-breaking temperatures, and it's only going to get worse and worse every year. In 2019, scientists around the world amplified their call to actions by declaring clearly and unequivocally that our planet is facing climate emergency. Without immediate and drastic actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, our planet's climate could reach tipping points caused by large-scale reinforcing effects, which will make global warming irreversible in human timescales. This would disrupt economic stability, global trade, threaten global agriculture production, and collapse of global fisheries. The safest option for humanity is to avoid this catastrophic scenario, is to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which means that, simply put, in order to avoid devastating and potential irreversible outcomes, we have to cut global emissions by half by 2030 and be a realistic path towards a carbon-free global economy at that point, aiming for net zero emissions by 2050. Governments and institutions in Canada have a much larger role to play than most countries because Canada is one of the highest emitters in the world per capita. We pollute the most, we benefit the most from that, and we have the greatest imperative for action. And so who has declared climate emergency already? Over 1,900 national and local jurisdictions in 30 countries have made climate emergency declarations, including 504 in Canada. And Canada itself has also declared a national climate emergency in 2019. For universities, while there are no comprehensive lists exist of all universities that have issued declarations, over 600 higher education institutions have signed the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as SDGs, Accord, including 15 Canadian university colleges, but this does not include SFU. However, we want SFU to go much further than simply signing an accord. Then, of course, there is the University of British Columbia, UBC, who declared climate emergency in December 2019 and has since then been recognized as a national and international leader in climate action. So why should SFU declare a climate emergency? There are two main reasons. One is the recognition of the crisis, as mentioned before, as a declaration sends a strong leadership signal to businesses, organizations, institutions, local governments, and more importantly, higher levels of government about the seriousness of the climate crisis, encouraging climate actions beyond the university. The declaration states loud and clear that the declarer university is choosing to lead by example by responding to the emergency and thereby empowering the community and helping all of us treat the climate crisis as the existential emergency that it is. And secondly, it's a commitment to act, and this is important. It's not purely the declaration is not purely a symbolic act, but SFU must remain accountable to its constituents by following up the declaration with concrete actions. These are the 6 demands are in our letter. One is to decarbonize operations, to divest away from fossil fuels, to raise awareness and amplify issues surrounding climate change, such as reasserting opposition to the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project. The fourth is to establish a climate hub for students, similar to the one UBC has right now. Number 5 is to address the climate crisis in a climate justice lens. And number 6 is to educate, meaning mobilize more resources for actions-oriented climate change research and skills creations, increasing the delivery of environmental and sustainability education across curricula, campus, and community outreach programs. SFU has a responsibility to be honest with students and prepare them for a changing climate, because whatever jobs they seek after graduation will be fundamentally reshaped by increasing variable and extreme climate impacts. So with our letter campaign, we have kind of the 6 phase. The first one was writing the letter, and the second one was collecting feedback and comments from veteran groups, such as SFPERG, TSSU, GSS, like PROS as well. And phase 3 is to incorporate those feedback and making those final edits, and this is kind of where we're at right now with phase 3. And then phase 4 is to garner support before we launch the letter publicly, and this is why we're here with the motion today and also presenting to the SFSS. And phase 5 is for public launch and collecting of signatures, and phase 6 is to present to the Board of Governors for approval and demands. So who has the final say at SFU for declaration? It is the Board of Governors, who is the last decision-making body that decides whether to declare a climate emergency at SFU. We are planning to present a motion at the Board of Governors meeting on September 30th, to submitting the motion through the undergraduate Board of Governors representative by September 8th, which is the agenda deadline, and to also give a presentation to the board. And currently for our campaign, we have 4 working groups. We have an outreach working groups, which is to form on and off campus partnerships, recruit students, and as well as collect signatures for the letter. We also have our lobbying working group, which is going to be lobbying the Board of Governors, meeting with Board of Governors, and also present and plan for the day of action at the Board of Governors meeting. And then we have a social media and communication working group, which is going to be managing our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, print materials, newsletter, blogs, website, op-eds, and as well as any news coverage on our campaign and declaration. And of course, it's the teaching and learning, which is aimed to holding workshops, community workshops, education workshops, infographics, or social media just to educate the SFA community on why we need this declaration. So for next steps, please follow us on social media. We have a Slack as well if people would like to join our campaign. We meet weekly on Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. And we also will be having working group meetings as well. But yeah, that is the end of the presentation. Thank you, everyone. And we'll be taking questions if there's any.
Thank you so much, Rachel and Sarah, for the presentation. If there are any questions, put yourself on the speakers list. Abby.
Hey, more of a comment than a question. I just wanted to give a shout out to Wei Chun and SFU 350. We attended a mutual event. It was the Burnaby Climate Justice by-election town hall. And they asked a great question along with the PSS and our wonderful president, Judith, again, with a wonderful question. So I can say that they have substance behind their words as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully, this passing at the Board of Governors level, just because it's like, A, it's very important to protect the earth we live on and for future generations. And B, I think implementing more climate justice creates job opportunities and green jobs, which are going to be more sustainable in the long term and can replace old fossil fuel jobs. And this is the first step in getting people to implement said green technology by making it a priority at the university level.
Thank you, Abby. Amelia?
Hello, I just wanted to thank you so much for the presentation. That was really informative. I don't know if I missed something, but I got a question from my student union, someone wondering if SFU 350 was doing any activism around the construction of the gondola. I know it's not like happening right now, but I was wondering if like anything was done to like look into the environmental impacts of that project.
We have supported the Mountain Gondola before as a club, and we have not really looked into or done much on around that other than supporting it. So we will get back to your email, and thanks for bringing that up. But I believe SFSS also has posted resources on it as well, on the construction and how much it'll save as well in terms of being electric and more environmentally friendly and more sustainable. I think that was done in the initial stages of the proposal to Donwa.
Thank you, Wei Chen. And thank you for the question. Nisha.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for the presentation, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more. Maybe I missed something because my neighbor was mowing the lawn, but like about divestment. I saw that on the slide, and I was wondering if you could like elaborate with a little bit more.
Yeah. So SFU 350 has been working on lobbying the university to divest from fossil fuels for a long time now. So currently the university has an endowment, which is mostly funds from external donors, and the university uses that to invest in various like stocks or land revenues and stuff like that. And that's where the kind of university, while the university generating profits to run the university. So we've been lobbying them to divest away from fossil fuels, but they have not committed to anything yet, whereas UBC has committed to divestment from fossil fuels. And in addition to that, we're also pushing to not only divest from fossil fuels, but to also reinvest the endowment funds into community reinvestments, meaning like cooperatives, land trusts, things that are supporting local communities instead of investing more into corporations.
Thank you.
I was speaking and I was muted. Akam, you're on the speakers list.
Thank you, Wei Chen and Sarah, for your guys' presentation. I just had a general question. This isn't, this is just sort of for my own like personal curiosity. I don't know if it's super relevant. I was wondering for like divestment again, if you guys have at all considered carbon capture and storage, or if you're looking for moving away from fossil fuel companies entirely. Just for my like personal knowledge, I know that we can still like decarbonize the energy system while still using carbon capture and storage and still using fossil fuel energy sustainably. I have like, is that something that you guys have looked at all, or is that something that you guys considered?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, I think our club, as our values, that we are always advocating to divest away from the fossil fuel industries, because we know that historically they have been the one contributing to climate change the most, and also spread campaign against the awareness of like how they're contributing to climate change. They literally put money into funding suppressing information about climate change, and they've known about this for years. So our value as a club is to move away from the fossil fuel industry, not to empower them. And divestment is a way to tell society that we're no longer, as an institution, no longer supporting the fossil fuel industries and looking to invest in other more sustainable energy sources, and as well other more sustainable businesses.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Well, thanks everyone for the questions, and I just want to give a huge thank you again to Sarah and Wei Chen for coming in to present to council. Later on in the meeting, we are considering a motion to sign on to SFU 350's Climate Emergency Declaration open letter and to support the campaign, your campaign, in any way that we can. And I'm very confident, I don't want to speak too preemptively, but I'm very confident that that motion will pass and that we will be able to support that campaign in any way that we can. So thank you again for coming in and presenting. And you're more than welcome to stay until that motion comes forward. Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gabe. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so I'm thinking we'll aim to take a break around 6. However, we can probably bang through the report from the executive committee first, because I realize we do have a number of stuff under new business and we haven't even finished the presentations yet. So thank you, Jess, for screen sharing, and we'll get started. Just to go over the, I guess, guidelines for these reports. Executive committee members, Last time I was a bit flexible because we had a lighter meeting and that I gave you guys 4 minutes. I'm going to be a little bit stricter today and say 3 minutes max for your report. If possible, try and go shorter because I am afraid we're going to have a really long meeting and I don't want people, yeah, it's hot and it's not very comfortable. So additionally, as chair of the executive committee, I will also be giving a bit of an overview of what happened at our last executive committee meeting, just so everyone is kind of up to date on what the executive committee has been, what motions we passed and what discussions we've been having. So I'll start there, and then we'll move into individual reports from executive officers. So here are a couple of the motions that we passed at the last executive committee meeting, which was on Tuesday, June 22nd. We passed a motion to appoint Kirtana as my associate vice president, or as it's called in the case of the president, associate to the president. I'm very excited to be working with Kirtana. Kirtana's here today as the International Student Advocates alternate. And yeah, very much looking forward to that. We passed a motion to establish some written guidelines on running hybrid in-person / Zoom meetings during COVID-19 and how that works. The executive committee actually had an in-person meeting last week, testing it with a hybrid setting where some people were attending virtually and some people were attending in person with COVID-19 guidelines in place. Furthermore, we passed a motion to clarify a scenario where an associate vice president is also a counselor and kind of what hours count toward which role and how that influences work reports and what gets added to those reports. Furthermore, we passed a motion to extend the delegated authority that was given to the VP internal while the VP Finance and Services was on a leave of absence until, I believe, today, as the VP Finance was on a bit of a gradual return to work plan. So that was passed. We also passed a motion to appoint myself and Marie to the Out on Campus Coordinator Hiring Committee. The Out on Campus Coordinator position is going to be vacant soon. Our Out on Campus Coordinator, Ashley, has submitted his resignation from the position. And so we wish Ashley all the best going forward into his new role. Furthermore, we also appointed Corbett and John Walsh, our building manager, to the Building Coordinator Hiring Committee. And these are new staff positions that we're creating in order to staff the student union building and make sure that the building is staffed in a way that can ensure effective management of the building. These are new staff positions, we didn't mention that already. The executive committee recommended to council that it sign on to and supports SFU 350's climate emergency declaration open letter, which we will be considering later on in new business. We talked a bit about what we want to see at the annual general meeting this fall and what kind of motions we want to bring forward, whether they be bylaw amendments or something like the tuition condemnation vote that we did at the AGM last year. This is all kind of still being discussed right now. We also talked about, now that public health orders are changing, what changes can we make to our policies in terms of having, allowing student unions and clubs to have in-person events and meetings. Right now, the stance is that no in-person events or anything is allowed by student unions or clubs, but as folks have probably been following the public health advice, it is changing quite rapidly. And now there's an opportunity to start having more in-person engagement and initiatives. So more discussion on that is to be had soon, but no decision has been made yet, is important to emphasize. At this time, meetings, in-person meetings and events are still not allowed at this time. And lastly, we talked a bit about the Burnaby City Council by-election that was happening and increasing student engagement in that election. And that is a bit about that executive committee meeting. And just as information, as a piece of information for council and our members, we meet as an exec bi-weekly on Tuesdays, alternating on weeks on weeks where there isn't council. So we had a meeting last Tuesday and we'll have another one. Our next meeting is on July 6th, 2021. And again, it is open to all undergraduate students to attend those meetings and listen in. And you get to listen to me speak for another 3 minutes, and I'll pass it off to the next exec. And I'll start my 3-minute timer now. So, as president, I get a crap ton of emails, but I'm surviving. Just for you guys to know, it's a fun fact. I think I get about, on average, 50 to 70 emails a day. And so I spend a lot of time sifting through all of those emails, but I'm surviving. In terms of specific things that I have been doing, I had an opportunity to attend both of the Surrey Director Town Hall for staff and students. The hiring process for this position is where the candidates for Surrey Director actually have to present in a town hall with students and staff and answer questions about what their vision is for if they were to be in the position. So I had an opportunity to go and ask questions about that. Serena, Marie, and I also continued to attend the Joint Operations Group where we discussed a number of topics, including the ones listed here on the PowerPoint. I was on the Policy Research and Community Affairs Coordinator Hiring Committee alongside Corbett, and we have actually just wrapped up that hiring committee and have selected a final candidate. Beatty, our current research assistant with the SFSS, applied for the role and was the successful candidate, and she will be starting in her new role as PRCAC starting on Monday, so we're very excited about that. On Monday, I will be onboarding our new communications coordinator as well, as that staff position has been vacant and a hiring committee was struck and has completed their search as well. Furthermore, the executive committee had a meeting led by mainly Corbett, but I kind of helped a little bit, in terms of training up our execs on how to be committee chairs. Most of us are chairs of a committee or multiple committees. And so it's really important to, understand things like Robert's rules and putting together agendas and what have you. And we'll also be doing the same for a couple of our counselors who have actually just been elected chairs of committees as well. I had an opportunity to attend what's called the Student Reference Group. This is a group of student society presidents in BC that has been meeting with the province of British Columbia on giving advice on the COVID-19 return to campus guidelines, as well as communication with students on the public health orders. As I said, Kirtana was appointed as my associate to the president, and I'm very excited about that, to be working with her. I attended a number of committee meetings, including the ones on the PowerPoint, exec, nominating, oversight, first year engagement, and member services advisory committee. As president, I'm what's called ex officio, so I'm technically a voting member of all committees, which is exciting because I get to pop in and out whenever I want, and to kind of see what's happening all over the place. And lastly, I just want to give a huge shout out to an event that I attended on, I forget what day, but it was very recently, titled We Were Here, We Were Queer Poetry Night. I was only able to attend for the first 45 minutes, but what I did attend was really fun and exciting, and I'm just really glad to have been in that space and for that to have been organized. So I know, Jess, you had a big part to play in organizing that, and Serena as well. I know you're part of that team, so a big shout out to you folks. And that's it for me. I think it's Corbett up next.
Hi everyone. So a lot of my last couple weeks have been focused on internal stuff. Scheduling and calling a number of meetings for like nomination committee, governance committee, which got pushed back because of the heat wave and the close down on Monday. Working with staff on the community at large, application marketing, as well as other execs and other students, and reminding people on Facebook and Discord and others to share and remind their members that these applications are open, which they still are. So please keep asking friends and people you think it would be good for these committees to apply for them. I led the sub-service working group where we focused on what for part of the sub-opening, what services would be starting up again in the fall and in what format and in where they would be located in the building. I also held a meeting with John Walsh, our building manager, around a lot of the building projects and the things around the building itself that would need to be finished or ready to go for September start. And then we started the building coordinator hiring committee. So these building coordinators are people that will be working in the building to open and close it, to help reset rooms, be like kind of a main point of contact for issues, maintenance issues and whatnot. They're just basically there to help run the building. So we started that hiring committee. Literally, had our first meeting today, and so it takes about a month or so to get this process finished. And we'll have the goal is to have hired 2 people by hopefully the beginning of August, but it'll probably be a little bit later than that. And then just worked on a whole bunch of little admin tasks all throughout the last 2 weeks, like updating different trackers that I have, helping LMS transitioning back into her role, signing a lot of checks and count reconciliations, and just doing a lot of little odds and ends throughout the 2 weeks. Thanks.
Thank you, Corbett. And next, VP Finance and Services. Thomas?
Yeah, so this is all from, I think, the 22nd of this month, because I wasn't available for the first part of the month. So as soon as I came back, I was overwhelmed with more than 300 emails. This is something that I have on my tips because even during my leave of absence, I was seeing how badly Corbett is being tortured by all the people who are sending him my behalf of emails as well. And I'm still catching up with them, especially the external ones, because I'm not sure how things have been functioning. So me and Corbett, we've been talking quite a lot about this. There are some people who did not know I was on my leave of absence, so they've continuously been sending me emails. They did not get replies, so they've resorted to emailing him. So a lot of that has been happening. The second major thing is the work reports, which I'm very happy now. It's just due once a month, so I won't be having about 94 to 95 reports due each month for checking. I'll just have about 50 or let's say 55. Oh yeah, Corbett just corrected me, if the motion passes. So I've been going over the May work reports, which includes double checking if the events that counselors have put into the report is actually something that falls into the area of counselors, what they're trying to do, or it's just events which do not fit into the area of the what the counselor is supposed to do. Secondly, we do not have a submission form as of now to track the time of submission, and it's been really hard for me to wait till 12 in the night and individually see if each person has submitted their report before the deadline. So that's something I'm currently working on. I've also been emailing some counselors who have either missed their reports consecutively twice. There have been others who have been elected later in the month, so they did not submit their work reports for the first half. And I have received some work reports from June, that is for the first half, but I'm still going to be reviewing them because I'm still catching up on a lot of the work from the previous month. Next up, we have the finance and administration tasks. So Corbett has been very helpful to sign the checks and to take a look at all the different kinds of approvals. But since I will be held accountable if things go wrong, I still have to double check everything. So that's what I've been doing. Seeing if the received and spent funds are under the proper departments in the budget, overseeing all the different payrolls and bank statements and the checks that were signed by Corbett. And we're also going to be presenting the annual budget on which Corbett and our finance assistants have been working, but I've also been up on that, making some final changes or giving any input that I feel is necessary. We had our meeting with Student Care. I think they gave you a whole presentation, so I won't be going into a lot of details. But basically, they've given us two different approaches to how we can head on. And they've also presented us with a survey of how the money is being spent because of COVID, how it has been on a decline, but we're hoping to see a lot of claims as students head back to school in fall, especially because of the clinic on campus. Third one is our FASC, which is the Finance and Administrative Services Committee. So I will be chairing this committee, very new to this, have never chaired a committee in the past. So I've been reviewing a couple of reports from the previous meetings. I've also been planning how it will be this year. I tend to have at least one meeting each month. That's what I'm aiming for. But also depends on when all these other people who signed up for the committee can meet. So Gabe was very helpful in sending out a when to meet for all the different people. Thank you, Gabe. And I feel like we have Thursday mornings, which is sort of working out for everyone. The second thing is the nature of meetings. So we will be discussing the external audit that has recently happened. And we will also be, for the very first meeting, I'm planning to go over everything that has happened in the past year, so more of a review. Just some other stuff, the executive committee meeting, which we've gone in a lot of detail, I think a couple of minutes ago, and then meeting up with Corbett and Gabe to discuss my transition. Looks like there's not much work, but when you start going down, there's too much work, so much catching up going on. I was also a part of the EDI coordinating hiring webinar, and then as Gabe mentioned, we all went to this really good event hosted by Jess, held by Serena, the We Were Here, We Were Queer poetry event, and that's it for the 9 days that I've been back. Thank you.
Thank you, Almas. And next we have Serena.
Hey everyone, so I'll try to be quick. Surrey Director Town Halls, Gabe already went over that and almost just went over the EDI Specialist Town Halls. So basically there's a couple of candidates for each and they answer some questions and describe what their priorities are. Menstrual Products Project, I went to a meeting with Free Periods Canada with Jess and ACOM as well, just to discuss how this project was implemented at UBC. Unfortunately, UBC has a lot of existing infrastructure that helped them a lot that SFU doesn't have, so there's definitely a lot of work to be done there. Went to the TSSU RA bargaining bootcamp. That's the Teaching Support Staff Union Research Assistant bargaining bootcamp, which was really interesting to gain some insight on their campaign and where bargaining is at currently. Joint Operations Group, there was a return to campus planning subcommittee meeting today. Excuse me, sorry. And we were discussing academic concessions and that kind of thing. So I volunteered to help with that. So hopefully we can get some more academic concessions for the fall and help students out in that way. Access for All campaign, of course, is ongoing. Sending those letters out to SFU and the province. Still open for signatures and that kind of thing. It's also kind of related to a discussion item that I amended to the agenda for today. SFU grading policies, that's going to the Senate Committee on Undergraduate Studies very soon, I think July 8th or something like that. Climate Emergency Declaration, we all saw the presentation and there's a motion on that today. Executive Chair Training, Steering Committee on Personal Safety on Campus. President Joy Johnson came to the last meeting and kind of turned around the whole purpose of that committee. So it's been very interesting. We need to figure out, yeah, we need to figure out what's happening there and really push back. And yeah, Gabe and I were discussing this earlier. I think I need therapy for it, honestly. It's been problematic. Student Affordability Working Group, just going over some data in the last meeting, fall 2021 student experience. That's also like a return to campus kind of thing. It was kind of like an introductory meeting, so not much information there yet. Joint letter regarding residential schools. I was able to go to the first meeting for that, but I wasn't able to go to the last one. Matt, Jess, Marie, and a lot of other folks from different student societies, PSSU, and GSS, have been doing a lot of great work on that. Protesting in Columbia Working Group, we started working on the letter to SFU and the province. Well, we haven't decided if we want it to be the province or the federal government yet, but we've been working on that, and we will also be meeting on Friday. Burnaby Food Hub Collective, kind of in the works, but also needs greater funding. So I'm looking to hear back from SFU on that. Working on different statements for Pride, for Operation Blue Star, those kinds of things. Providing edits to other folks' statements as well. And the University and Academic Affairs Committee met for the first time last week, I believe. Just did some, I guess, like annual plan kind of thing. Just like talking about what we want to work on. But that kind of brings me to the end. If there's anything that folks would like to bring to council, any questions that you have, of course, I'm always available, so you can feel free to send me a message. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena. And I think next is VP External Matt.
Hi, is everyone able to hear me okay?
Yep.
As long as my mic is weird on Zoom. So for the last couple weeks, I just want to kind of outline some key meetings, updates. I met with Johnson last Wednesday. It's pretty early. And the time, I think we met for like 20 minutes. So it was like super short. But it was basically just to address the, I guess the lack of just taking long to address the Kamloops Indian Residential School findings. It was like over a week later, I believe, almost 2 weeks. So just trying to have a discussion on how that could be better situated. As you know, like with the Cowsis findings that happened last week, there was a statement that was put out pretty quick. So hopefully moving forward, we see these things addressed in a better way. And so that was good. I had a meeting with Katrina Chen last Friday, and so that was really good. It was nice to see Katrina. Actually met her a few times last year at Food Hub and whatnot, so just going over some things in my portfolio along with like our annual plan and making sure that we're going to be working together with just aligning on some issues such as like TMX and things like that. And so with that, also met with Metro Vancouver Alliance and kind of had discussions and looking through their organization and also affiliations that they do have an alliance with, like in the Metro Vancouver area, to make sure that, you know, I'm doing my due diligence to make sure that if we are working with folks or want to see like how we could partner or make those connections externally, that there's no they kind of have the same alignment with us with the values and mandate that we have as a society. So I think I hold that pretty high, making sure that, you know, I'm going through who they're aligned with and kind of doing that background research, and I can fill in folks at exec, but also with council if people have any questions. Externally, Community Affairs Committee, I met with Ella, the board organizer, and also Aisha, to kind of talk about the plans for the ECAC committee. We haven't met yet just due to conflicting schedules at the moment, but we'll meet as soon as I could find a day, just because we won't be able to meet quorum. So, and I want folks to be there, but just on my end on that, I've been trying to plan some in ECAC development sessions because we will be lobbying. So kind of going into lobbying 101, campaigning 101, public speaking. And so just kind of setting aside things that we want to cover over the summer so we get ready for lobby days and whatnot. Also attended the First People's Gathering House Stakeholders Committee, which I'm a part of, so just getting updates on the Gathering House at SFU, and also just recommendations from students and how we kind of want to see that place built on campus, and moving forward in reconciliation efforts at SFU. So internal aspects, still working on the campaigns and mobilization coordinator hiring committee, is having to schedule meetings and interview meetings, and then so hopefully that should be wrapped up in the next few weeks. And also for the Vice Provost Indigenous Affairs Listening and Learning Committee, been sitting in on that and receiving emails and just kind of receiving updates. They're going to be hiring a Vice Provost, Indigenous. So just looking forward to that and glad to see that there's community on that. So recent advocacy initiatives, just kind of working on the recognition of Indigenous Day that happened on the 21st. There's also known as summer solstice, so making sure that we're having proper resources and things and just celebrating Indigenous excellence and resilience. To there's been a lot of heavy news within the last month, so just making sure that we're highlighting achievements and also there's positive aspects, and then also continuing to address the issues regarding the residential school findings, which will be ongoing, and as we've seen today. And I believe my 3 minutes is up. So
thank you, Matt, for those updates. And I think our last update is from VP Events and Student Affairs.
Sorry, my computer's lagging. So for staff hiring, we finalized our communications coordinator candidate, and then Gabe is going to help onboard them. I'm going to meet with the Women's Center Assistant Hiring Committee to look over the applicants as a collective and do our shortlist. For sub-working groups, we talked about PHO guidelines, a current staff and exec safety plan, a plan for counselors to use the building, if any, hopefully in the near future. We also have a student group COVID safety plan as well. And then we're also considering in-person events and meetings for clubs and student unions. We had our first executive committee, so I'll just state what was relevant to my portfolio because I believe that Gabe mentioned most of them. We talked about student union club events, PHO orders, and then in-person events and meetings and how we're going to do that as well. For SFU relations, I met with some folks from student engagement and retention as an update of how we both plan to open up our spaces and host welcome back activities. So we were kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, more like, what were you doing, what was I doing, and how are we going to come back in the fall. I also hosted the student town hall for equity, diversity, and inclusion specialists, which is part of the candidates interview. For student groups on campus, I met with the caucus and I'm going to help them plan 2 speaker panel events on Free Palestine. She's lagging. Oh my gosh, hold on 1 second. I need to share screen again. Council, we had the dev session, and then for today I wrote my first briefing note and first big motion for Cancel Canada Day and starting that campaign. For committees, I chaired my first meeting for Member Services Advisory Committee. Thank you to Tony for being vice chair for that committee, and thank you to Gabe and Corbett for helping me chair that. Robert's rules is tough. It's really different when you're doing it versus you're just sitting there listening to Gabe wonderfully do it. We sadly had to postpone the first events and student affairs committee due to the heat wave. For projects, working on with Servina and ACOM for the menstrual products initiative. And then Corbett and I are still working with Aisha for the equity audit within our member services and staff and how this would relate to our student services too. For events, we collaborated with SFUs. We were here, we were clear on a poetry night and a zine launch, and they did such an incredible job. Thank you again to the poets and to the singers who presented, and I put the link of their zine in the chat. The Understanding Land Acknowledgements event is postponed. Special shout outs to our staff who much labor behind the scenes and for catching things that I missed and for teaching me things every single day. And to ACOM, who has been attending and supporting various meetings and helping with so many ongoing projects.
Cool, thank you, Jess. And at this time, that concludes the report from the executive committee. And I think now is a good time. We have one more report. However, I think now is a good time to take a 10-minute break. And then after 10 minutes, we will reconvene and go through the next report. And then we'll finally get to the motions of the day. So let's all return at 6:30.
Recording stopped.